We currently have a fork and a clothes hanger because he left his keys in the truck. Literally dug this one out of the weeds. And our next contestant, a 1976 John Deere Liquefier 440. Turns out we might get a winner after all. Today we are dragging out a snowmobile from the mid-70s, which we have two sitting here. This one we're taking to Chetek for their Winter Fest. I had this one running last year. It had some fueling issues, so now we're basically going through this thing front to back, doing it properly, so that way once we get to Wisconsin this weekend, we will not have any issues. Hopefully. Take that with a grain of salt. Carburetor is clean. Already checked that out. Now I'm kind of going over the clutching in this. There was a ton of rust right here, and I've been using a mixture of very light sandpaper to try and take down the rust, Scotch-Brite, and then some steel wool, so we got a nice smooth transition and the rust isn't catching the belt or acting any goofy in that sense. Also, with my secondary, we got these little pucks that slide here. It's just another, you don't want to have any catching, just so you have smooth actuation of our clutching. Primary, same thing, just make sure it doesn't have any ridges on it. It's nice and smooth. The belt, probably just run this belt. I always keep new ones with me. This sled actually has electric start, and I used it last year. It worked awesome, especially for these 440s. It's not difficult to pull over, but it is a little bit tougher, and with the electric start in the cold mornings, it just makes life so much better. So we might pop a new battery in there. A couple of other things I need to do is our fuel filter down there. I noticed that it has gunk in it, so we're gonna replace the fuel filter. Gonna go ahead and grease up all our steering joints. Probably try and get this lifted up in the air so that way we can grease anything or put some WD-40 on anything on the track that's needed. Might re-duct tape the seat for now. I don't have any seat covers, and once this gets wet, then it keeps your ass wet, and we don't need that. Duct tape at least will help keep the water off, and go ahead and dig all our weeds out of here. Really should have probably just pressure washed this thing. But oh yeah, I really like these old Deeres. They're pretty decent sleds. They're not, you know, speed demons by any means, but you know, get up to 50 miles an hour or so, which is plenty for these old sleds that have zero suspension. And last but not least, the headlight and taillight. We do need to have those working since we're going to Wisconsin, and we typically end up driving at night at some point, so we need to go over the electrical system and make sure it is all up to par with that. And our next contestant, a 1976 John Deere Liquefier 440. I know nothing about this sled really, and honestly, I can't even remember where I bought it or for how much. Probably not more than a couple $100. I did hit it with some brake cleaner and it kind of fired up, so it's promising that the motor runs. We won't have any issues with it. Apparently this hood doesn't have a, oh, it's got this. Where does this clip in? Oh, this one's a little bit different. We got dual carburetors on this one. So, double the cleaning work. Again, clutches, super rough and have pitting, so we're definitely gonna have to clean those up, clean up our slides. This one's liquid cooled, so we need to make sure, hopefully there's no water in there, otherwise that could be an issue. I'm sure the plugs could probably need replaced. Front primary clutch, feels like there's some decent compression there. And we need the snow to all melt off. I see the fuel lines are in an external jug, so wonder how bad this is gonna be. Oh no. All right, just ran home, got some supper, got the kids put to bed. We're back at the shop now. Kind of trying to wrap some things up with this 440 liquefier that we've been working on. And here's the progress we've made so far. So we got her running. Went ahead, we got the carbs cleaned. We got those bolted back on. I found a belt for a water pump, but unfortunately it's a touch too big and they didn't have the next size smaller. So I might have to rob one off one of the parts sleds. We replaced the fuel lines. We got the tank put back on. All is going pretty good. I even topped off the coolant and put a new line to our overflow. I went to O'Reilly's and I gave one of these type of bulbs a shot, and surprisingly it works. I don't know. This is what it had in there, these big ones, but so far so good. I might take a spare because I don't know. We'll find out. The one issue I do have is that the kill button on the handlebars will not shut the sled off, and the key will not shut the sled off. And I've traced some wires down. The only ones that I can find were broke was right there and right there. I really don't know if that's supposed to attach to there. I just have it kind of sitting in there, just trying to do like trial and error. We had this wire from our ignition switch, which is over here. I traced that down to right here, which had the same color wire. You know, you'd think that the same color goes to the same color, especially since those are the only two broken wires I found. And the headlight was working, everything was working perfectly, even the gauge lights were working with those two wires disconnected. And I've tried running it from there to there, to there to there, there to there, there. You know, I tried everything. And I pulled this apart. The wires are there. It pushes, the key turns, you know, on and off. So I don't know why it won't shut off. Typically it just grounds out the coil to shut these off. And all our ground wires, we got 3 ground wires on the 2 coils. We got a little terminal block over here where all our wires run through, and all the ground wires run over here. I checked all these. I'm kind of out of ideas here. I don't know. We got no other broken wires. All the grounds are on. I mean, it could be corroded wires potentially, but I've pretty much wiggled and jiggled every single wire here and we got no luck. Kind of at a loss. I've been just turning the choke on, which, you know, if I don't figure it out, that can work. It's just not ideal. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have left to do is figure out the wiring and the seat. And I have kind of started on the seat. This thing's needs some serious love, but for now what I'm doing is basically I'm cutting off all the stuff that's like poking up like this, and then for now we'll just run duct tape over. If you try to run duct tape over this, it's just going to want to try and peel the duct tape off. So by getting a nice smooth surface for now, that'll allow the duct tape to roll over and stick much better. Duct tape seat coming up. The other issue, I'll pull this off, so is our seats fall off. And that's because 1976, I don't know what they were thinking, but they used plywood along both sides of the seats. If you watched my earlier video on my John Deeres, you've seen I have gone through and replaced all these. But essentially there's 2 spots for this to bolt to the sled. Right here, where some metal tabs are supposed to slide in and hook right here. Then on the back of the sled, there are some metal little push inserts here, and you could bolt the seat down through the underside of the sled. And that's all that held it on. The years of water and snow and salt and everything else has deteriorated this. We got coolant in it. We don't have any coolant leaks. Fresh gas. She's ready to rip. Usually starts first pull. Oh, she wants to go. Keys off. Choke it out to get it to shut off. I'm definitely thinking this is going to be a pretty solid sled for the trip. These liquefiers, they are heavy. Oh, you know what I just realized? This is aluminum chassis. A lot of times a lot of chassis I have are all steel, but these sleds are typically heavier, so when we go out on the ice track and race in a circle, the sled is usually one of the top dogs because it's got some serious weight to it. And the 440 power, she just lets it eat. Yeah, no. all 48, 58 horsepower, whatever these 440s put out, but they're pretty stout little old beater sleds. All right, it's the day we leave to Chetek, Wisconsin for their vintage snowmobile show and their vintage snowmobile ride. We are on our way to Kevin's with Junkyard Digs to load up his 3 snowmobiles. Then we gotta go to another buddy's, load up his 2 snowmobiles, and finally my house to load up my 2 snowmobiles. 440 we mostly been working on. That one fired right up second pull this morning. So I had 3 sleds ready just in case, and I was gonna take the first 2 that started. Because this was our coldest day of the year at like negative 16 degrees here in Iowa. The Liquifire 440, the one we mainly been working on, it fired right up. The Snowfire 440 that's got electric start, unfortunately I could not get that to fire this morning, even with spray. So I'm not even gonna battle that one. Because at the end of the day, we're going there to have fun. I don't want to wrench on the sleds too much. It's inevitable, it's going to happen, but if we can keep it to a minimal, that'd be great. So we're taking my Snowfire 340 instead. That's been my most reliable sled. The only issue I've ever had with that thing is blowing a headlight bulb. So that being said, let's go load some snowmobiles. And we're off. Well, she's the morning of the event. We got both the deers fired up. Took us about 15 pulls for that old girl. Liquifire, 3 pulls. That thing has just been decent so far. We had an issue. I threw a brand new belt on yesterday. This morning I noticed that it was slipping. So I threw the old one back on. Should be good to go. The new one will get us home if need be. But that being said, we got all the sleds almost down here, still fighting a couple to get them running, but we're gonna be on our way for the vintage snowmobile ride that apparently goes from 10 to 4. I hope we make it. Let's do some riding. Sir,
I sure did. We all did.
we all did, surprisingly.
No sled left behind. I love snowmobiles.
Team, take a break.
But I love snowmobiles. Good job, gentlemen. Just as we have a beer about it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think the players got him. I don't know if anybody remembers my buddy Jeff here. They helped me build the diesel Camaro. We currently have a fork and a clothes hanger because he left his keys in the truck, which in the end is probably my fault because I was rushing them this morning. But
no, it's 100% my own fault. The keys I felt in my pocket were actually for my sidewalk. I should have looked.
it happens to the best of us. In other amazing news, both John Deeres made the entire trail ride today. We had one issue with the Snowfire here. which apparently I've never noticed, but there's 2 zip ties on the thumb throttle. Those broke. Luckily somebody had one. We got this up and running. And we got my sled, the Liquefier 440, which ran absolutely flawless until I ran out of gas. And it picked up crap from the bottom of the tank still, plugged my fuel filter, and luckily this awesome guy on a 1970 moto ski gave me a gallon of gas. Funny story, he puts on 3,000 miles a year on this vintage snowmobile. I couldn't even imagine. We put 30 miles on today, and it took us like 4 or 5 hours. Granted, we stopped at a few places, got lunch and whatnot, but it's been an amazing day. Well, as you can see, the snow is gone. We made it back to Iowa with the snowmobiles all running in one piece, and it completely disappeared in a matter of 3 days here in Iowa. We had roughly 3-4 inches maybe, and now it's 60 degrees here. The snow is officially gone. I can't believe it. I had an absolute blast on this trip. Thank you to Kevin of Junkyard Digs inviting us out. All the cool guys we met at Chetek, and of course our buddies Ezra and Steve and Bob and all them. Like, we just had an absolute great time out at Chetek, Wisconsin. If you guys got an old sled, you can literally throw maybe $100 at that thing and have it running just fine to go out and just have a weekend of fun at the end of February. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I kind of kept it down to the more fun parts of the video rather than too much of working on the sleds. Very basic machines. They just take a little bit of time and tinkering with to get them to run right, let alone survive an entire weekend putting on. I think me and Ezra put on the most miles because we drove all night one night almost, but we probably got 50-60 miles on these things. So with that being said, the video everybody's been waiting for is back with the Camaro. We're coming out next with that. I finally got everything in to pretty much get this car officially on the road with the electrical and the cooling system and all that. So I've already started working on it. I'm excited to get that thing out on the road and see how it drives. We'll see you next time.